So, yesterday we learned about various events, how to deal with them, different types of JavaScript events. We discussed various categories. So, we have mouse events, we have keyboard events, so we have button events, we have clipboard events, and we have element state events, so touch events, timer events. So these are the categories we already discussed. Now in the events, one more important you need to know is form events. So actually form events, we have two events. So form events, we have two events. One is on submit and on reset. Already you remembered we discussed about generic buttons. In HTML, we learned about generic and non-generic. So generic buttons are submit buttons and reset. HTML4 generic, HTML5 generic, I showed you. What is the purpose of generic buttons? What are generic buttons' purpose? Generic buttons have a functionality predefined. A submit button can submit the form. A reset button can reset the form. So without writing any functionality, submit and reset buttons can do some work. Then how we can customize the work? That means in addition to what they are doing, we want some more work. For example, when we designed any element here, when we are creating a form, in that one of the key point is when we design a form here, this form by default have the ability to submit and reset. For example, I am giving username and a text box. Input type is text and the name is some name. This is username. And we have two buttons. One button type is submit and this is submit. Another button type is reset and this is cancel something. Now we are not writing any functionality. So there is no functionality written. But you see here, without writing any functionality, these two buttons starts working. I type something here and click on cancel. It is going to cancel that. There is no functionality written. Then what is our responsibility is how you add extra work to this. That means before canceling, it should alert saying that, are you sure you want to cancel? But there is no function at all. Without writing a function, automatically functionality is happening. Then how you add more functionality? For that, you have to write these events. On submit, on reset are the events. They are written for form, not for buttons. They are written for form. That means in the form, you have to write on submit. And here we have to write on reset. These are the options we need to define. So inside the form, we need to configure them. And these will work when user clicks the submit or cancel. When user clicks submit button, this submit function will fire up. Without writing the function also, some actions will fire up. But in extra you want, then you can define here. That means I will put an alert temporarily saying that form will submit data to server. Generally what you do in your Java and other technologies, in HTML page you design the form, on submit you collect the data and you push it to your server side APIs, like that you design using JSP or other servlets. You pass the data there. That's what generally you people do on submit. Similarly, on reset, what we do, we keep an alert here temporarily. I will say that form will reset. That's the message. Now, these buttons are going to perform when I enter something and click cancel, then reset will fire up. Form will reset. Okay. You entered something and click on submit, then it submits that data. Form data will submit. Okay, it is submitted here. Usually it submits to some other page and configures. This is basically the submit and reset events. Where we write these events? So here a note is the form events. The form events are defined for form element. The form events are defined from form element. And second point is they fire up only on submit and reset button clicks. They fire up only on submit and reset button clicks. They fire up only on submit and reset button clicks. So what is the purpose? They define actions to perform when form is submitted or user resets the form. When form is submitted or when user resets the form. These are the form events. So syntactically you have to configure this for form. Form have on submit and some function to fire up. You can configure the functionality. And similarly on reset and a function. Yeah. I will give this example. So this is one example. How you configure the submit and reset. So by default, submit and reset buttons will be working. You want some additional functionality to happen, then you have to write. In interviews, one question is asked even for experience level, like how we can submit form data using other elements in HTML. Because remember, form data can be submitted only through submit button. No other element can submit the form data. Form data can be submitted only by one button and the button type must be submit. Any other element in the page cannot submit the form. But sometimes we want to submit the form on other elements, like user selects his city. Then according to his city, the page should change. That means we have to submit the city and the page should change. For example, you see now, the question asked in interviews is, the question asked is how to submit form using other HTML elements. How to submit form using other HTML elements. Because only one HTML element can submit form. And that HTML element is a submit button. other HTML elements, how they can submit form. Let's see one logic here. So now I am taking this here. See, we have a simple form, and in this form, we are having a data list, data term, so username and data definition. I will put this text box. That is the text box we are having. And we have another data term, some city, and we have a drop down. So in that we have select city and we have option. So here we need to define. So yeah, here we need to submit the form without this submit button. That means when the form should submit is, so this form should submit, user enters the name and user selects a city. After selecting city, form should submit. That form have to submit its data. There is no submit button, because you see several websites when we open here. Suppose I open Inox website. In the screen, they give a selection, Hyderabad. There is no button. And when I click on this Hyderabad related page will load. That means we are submitting that city. And that city related information will load. There is no button. Right? Then how you handle that? That means how you are going to configure this. On selection, it should submit, but actually it is unable to submit now. So what we do is here, what is the technique is, this form can have an ID or name or something. Form have a name. Suppose FRM, some I will say movies. Okay. FRM movies is the form. This form should be submitted when user changes the city. Then we have to write on change. On change, city change. Okay. On city change, we are writing a function, script, function on city change. What should happen? FRM movies, that is actually form. Already we learned we can refer by using name. Using ID, you can refer by using name, we can refer by using DOM hierarchy, so many. Form movies dot, we have submit method. This method is going to submit the form. So without a submit button, you can submit the form by calling the submit method of form. So now what is the point is, you entered some name, you select a city, then form is submitted. You see form is submitted. City value not submitted because every element should have a name. Na? Name is what? City. Then you see user enters the name and user selects a city and it is submitted. So without a submit button, we can submit the form. By default, no element in the form can submit other than submit button. If you want other elements also to submit, then you have to write this logic. It's very simple logic. What we have to do? So you have to call the form submit method on the specific element event. On the specific element event, you have to call the submit. Form have a submit one, you have to call it. So that is the point. So this is basically example for creating a form which can submit its data without a submit button. We can do that. So what we have to do, just call the form, and it's a submit method. You can call by using ID query selector or by using a reference name. So this all comes under category of different types of events. So JavaScript have a lot of events. We saw different events in different examples. So there is nothing like which one is mostly used. That depends on completely your requirement. Regularly used click you will see regularly. On change you will see regularly. For validations you will find blur and focus, like right, already we saw string functions, key up, key down while typing itself if they have to verify. All these are events. But there is another technique here, is another concept is adding event listener, which I already explained yesterday. Adding event listener is nothing but you can add events to HTML element. So without configuring an event handler. So it allows dynamically to configure events. It allows dynamically to configure events. So it allows dynamically to configure the events. We can dynamically configure the events. Not only that, it makes clean separation of code and UI. That will be good for application also. But attaching events dynamically so is not necessary every time. But it is good approach, because in future also same approach is followed in different technologies. So what is event listener is, for example, generally what we do, usually what we do is, so we write a function, and this is written in separate script block. And actually this is the code block, code area this is. And we have a design area. We have a design area. Design area is nothing but we have a button. Now in this design area, you are writing on click is equal to, that means you are writing again code. This is not good for applications. Means every time it is not good. Why it is not good? Because you are disturbing the code and design. And in the design, you are writing the code. Later, if I have to modify the design, extend the design, then it may affect the code. That's the reason if you created some design which doesn't require regular changes, then you write event handler. If you create a design which will change regularly, then you better use a event handler, event listener. If there is a design which will not change, once you designed it is static, every time it will be same. In that case, okay, you can go with event handlers. Now, event listeners means nothing but, suppose I will just give here, we have a button, and button is some insert. We don't want to write any logic inside this design area. That body area should not contain any logic. It should contain only design. Then what we can do is, for this button, we will give an ID. What is that? btn insert. If there are many buttons, you have to access with ID. We write a script. We simply use document.get element by ID. What is it? btn insert. To that, we have to add event listener. Add event listener. Add event listener. It is asking event name. We learned all the event names. What is the event name? Suppose we want to give a click. and what is the functionality it should happen. So the functionality we have to give document.write. What is it? Record inserted. Now what is the good about this is, if you maintain all this code in a separate file and you import that file here using module system or something, then what will happen is this HTML page contains only HTML. It will not contain any logic. Logic is separate, design is separate. You don't need to write even on click or anything here, only design. And now what happens here is when user clicks on that insert, so it should fire up that and display. So what is the concept here? We are accessing that and we are adding event listener. So here you see, when we try to access that, it is showing some reference issue here. It is saying that properties of null reading event listener cannot read the properties. What is meant by properties? That means it is unable to read the properties. So it is unable to read the properties of that. You can see it is unable to read. Because unable to read, it is nothing but because when you add an event listener, so you need to configure when to add, how to add, means at what time this should fire up. At what time this should fire up, you need to define it. That means this you written in a script element, but this should be ready. Suppose I am writing here, what is it? Body on load. On load is what? Body load. Body load. And here we are configuring the function. So we are configuring the function body load. Body load, we are defining this functionality. That means that is the functionality it should perform. Means just what functionality it should do, we are defining it. Usually when I click on insert, it will work because you added event listener, but problem is when to add this listener. Button will have a listener, but when? At the time of loading page. At the time of loading page, you put a listener, then it will attach that listener and it will start the functionality for that. So we need to configure when the listener should be added. Now remember, this is directly not working. Why? Because you cannot add event listener to any element without mentioning when to add. You can add that on another button click. You can add that on drop down change. You can add the functionalities. So what is advantage of this? You can change the event dynamically. How to change the event dynamically? Suppose user wants mouse over. Then what you can do, you can collect and use it here. Am I right? That means what I will do here, a simple point I will show here. First, how the event listener is added. Let me add that here. So you have to configure event listener on specific event or using a module system. On specific or a module system, because module system you saw it doesn't require event. Body, on load and all not required if you are using module system. So this is event listeners. So syntactically, document.query selector, and we just use a button and just I will add this function. Add event listener. So here we define event name. And here we have to define the functionality. What is the function? Actions to perform. What are the actions to perform? So that is how we can manage. So you have to add and you have to add a listener and define. So example for this I will copy. This is the example for that. Now actually what is the advantage of adding listener is you can change the events dynamically for any element. So that means, for example, here, suppose, so we are having, so this is ID. This is not a button. Suppose this is okay, this is a button only, just fine. And here we are having a div and we are having a drop down, select option. We have select event and we have an option. What is that option? So we have like this is like mouse over, and we have an option like click, on click. Like this we are giving. Mouse over will have a value called mouse over. Click have a value called what? Click. Now what we have to do is, on body load we are getting the event name. That means var event name is equal to document dot what? Query selector select dot what? Value. We are selecting the value. And that event name we will pass here. This is the event name. That is the event name we are defining. Now here one more point is that this should be changing according to selection. That means not just on body load, it should change according to selection. That means not on body load. This function I will remove on body load. It should work on drop down on what? Change. So I give change event, that is the function. And we will change that function name. What is that function name? Is change event. That is the change event function we are configuring. Means just approach I am showing here. And let's keep some good line spaces here. So BR like this. Okay. Just some gap. Now you see here, you click and select on click. And you click on insert, then it says inserted. You click here and select on mouse over, then mouse over it will perform. I don't need to click. That means before I click, it performs. On mouse over, it will display. That means now you are defining here, just click. Now when I move mouse over, it's not working. It will work only when I click. But now what I can do is, I can select mouse over. Then now I move the mouse onto it, then it is going to perform. That means dynamically we can change events. If anybody asks you like, can we change event for any element according to situation? Yes, that is possible by adding event listeners. Adding event listener. So that allows you to change the events dynamically for any element. So here another question is how to change events for element dynamically. So by using by adding so event listener. That is what the functionality. By adding event listener, you can change events for element dynamically. So writing the events using event handler and adding the events by using event listener. These are important. So if you want any object to change its functionality according to situation, then you need this. So this is all related to different types of events available in JavaScript. In future, when you are learning other advanced technologies, everywhere events are same. Their functionality also same. Just some reference technique may change. But all events will have same name, same concept. That means this is a topic that you will use everywhere in React, everywhere in Angular, everywhere in Vue in future if you are learning. Remember, there they don't teach you about events. When anybody teaching you about Angular, React, they will not tell you about events because they think that you already know about them in JavaScript. They will just show you the comparison, means how events work in JavaScript and how events work in Angular or React. The functionality, the concept and features, everything same, right? So this is basically working with JavaScript events. Another important topic you have to know in JavaScript is about state management techniques. State management techniques. So what are state management techniques? Actually, what is state management and why we need state management? First concept, you should know that every web application uses HTTP or HTTPS as protocol. So hypertext transfer protocol. Hypertext transfer protocol secured. S stands for secured. Every web application either runs in HTTP or HTTPS. HTTPS is more secured than HTTP. In HTTPS, whatever data you pass, they are secured. They will encode the data and store it so that it is not easy for hacking the data. But what is problem is HTTP is a stateless protocol. HTTP is a stateless protocol. That's a very important point. HTTP is a stateless protocol. That's very, very important concept. Stateless protocol means it cannot remember information between pages. A memory allocated for first page will be immediately removed once you move from that page to another. So what you done in first page, you cannot see that in second page. You cannot access that in second page. Once first page is finished, you move to second page, the memory allocated for first page is deleted, and whatever data is present for first page is cleaned up. Whatever present in first page is not accessible to second. This is very good. Stateless nature is very good. Your Java, .NET, every technology will teach you this. You are learning client-side state management, not server-side. Server-side different will be there. Your Java, .NET have to teach you server-side state management. Here we are learning client-side state management. So what both cases state management point is same. That means how we can store the data and use it across requests. I will tell you the advantage is memory is well managed. It is well secured because after every page, the memory is cleaned up. Server don't have any memory related burden issue. But drawback is for every page you have to remind the server. Imagine, suppose you are using some website. Suppose you are watching some website. In this website, Suppose I will show you just Google. In Google, we search for HTML, some list will come. And in this result, it showed some millions of pages result will be there. So many results will be there. Now, what is the point is, you are watching this, lot of results will be displayed. But now, suppose they are page number 1, 2, 3, 4. Suppose you are using Gmail. Now, 1, 2, 4 emails are there. First page they will ask, please enter your user ID password. You entered your user ID password, on second page came. For second page, you want to go to third user password. Now imagine for every page you have to log in. For every page you have to log in. That means for every page you have to log in and use. That's not great. But that is how actually web works. Web works with the mechanism of stateless. That means every technology related to web have to face this problem. That is the reason the technologies have to implement a state management technique which will store the data that they entered in first page and they carry that for other pages. So what is the purpose of state management? To maintain data which is accessed across pages. If it is not, then in every page you have to remind it. That is the good and bad about the state management. So stateless protocol, that means it cannot remember information between pages. It cannot remember information between pages. Hence, web applications implement various state management techniques to store data and access across pages or requests. Implement various state management techniques to store data and access across pages. Actually, the state management is classified into two types. We have client side, server side. Client side state management, and we have server side state management. We have client side and server side state management. What is difference is nothing but why they are called client side, server side means where your information is remembered. That means we are saying that your information will be remembered. Where it will remember your information, where it will store it. If it is storing your information on your device and using it later, then it is called client side. If it is using memory of server, storing your information on server and later it is accessing and using, then it is what? Server side. For example, you are entering from some login, some website login. In that website login, you entered your username and password. That username and password, every time you don't want to enter, then you can ask your browser to remember. You know your browser remembers, right? Your browser will remember. That means your information is stored in your machine only. Until which time it will remember? Until you delete your history. You clear all your history and cookies, your information will be deleted. Your saved passwords, everything will be. But see the websites, sometimes they say that we will save your payment details. Like you are paying through credit card. So your credit card number we save. and only CVV you have to enter and finish the transaction every time. You don't need to enter the card number every time. Now, where this card number is stored? In client computer. It is not saved in client computer. That is dangerous. So where they save that information? In their server. After you log in, you go into your account. There you will see that there is a saved card. That means even you delete your history, that card is present there until you remove from that particular server side. That means where your information is remembered on your computer, then it is client side. On server computer, then it is server side. Actually, we have to use both techniques. Java, .NET, PHP, Python, all these technologies will teach you server side state management. And JavaScript will teach you how to manage client side. Actually, Java, .NET, all these technologies will teach you both client side also, because they have to send data from server to client. So initially, client side state management is nothing but client side state management allows to store data on client device. So the various client side state management techniques are, we have different client side state management techniques. One is query string. Another one is local storage. We have session storage, and we have cookies. These are the different client-side state management techniques. The query string, local storage, session storage, and cookies. These are the client-side state management techniques. So what is the client-side state management technique, how they work? What is query string? Already we learned. I told you different inputs, na? In how many ways we can take input? 3 ways. What are those? From query string and from form. Another one is what? Prompt. We already learned how to pass a query string and access. Now today we will see how query string can pass data from one page to another. How it will pass data from one page to another. Let's see that. See here, we will design one folder. So we will create one folder in our project. And I will keep that folder as state. Okay. In that state, we have a page called home.html. and welcome.html. We have 2 options. In home.html, I designed a simple form. We created a form and we asked here username and a text box. Input type is text, name as username, and we have a button submit. Okay. And in welcome page, we are just keeping a heading. Just heading is present in the welcome page. And this is welcome page. Okay. And this is home page. I will just give home page. Okay. Now what should happen is when user enters username and click on submit, it should navigate to home page to welcome. How you will navigate on button click? Because it is a form, form can navigate to any another page on submit by using a property called action. You remember I told you form properties. So form have method, form have no validate, form have action. Remembered? Right? Why I told you that the HTML is major there? Because everywhere we will use the form concept. And form action means where to submit this information. You see the note I given. Action defines where to submit the data. Usually it will be a server side or client side, any page also we can give. So where to submit, it should submit to welcome HTML. Action is welcome to HTML means it will collect the data from the form and it will navigate to welcome. You see now, I entered some name and click on submit. It will navigate to welcome. And see, it passes that in the URL. The data is carried from one page to another. Now what we have to do in this page, we have to collect and show the data. How to collect a query string and display, already we learned. Go to welcome. In that we will put a paragraph. Here what we have to do, collect the data from query string and display. Remembered how to collect data from query string? I will write onload. Onload is what? Body load. And we will write a script. And what is the function? Function is what? Body load. Body load, we have to collect query string. How to get the query string? You remembered we have a location object na? Location dot what? Search. I given already in the input concept. Location dot search will get the query string. But we don't want all query string. Query string means it will return question mark, username equal to. We want to read from equal. Then what we have to do, where name is equal to query string dot substring. That means we have to read the substring from which location? Query string dot index of what? Equal plus 1. From that position, read up to end. And this must be displayed in paragraph. So document dot query selector, we will put here, what is it? P, paragraph. Inner HTML, we will display hello and that username. Whatever the name they collected from query string, we should display. So we are transporting data from one page to another. We are collecting that information. That means now you see here, it will display hello David. I will go to the previous. I entered some name. So I entered some name, suppose some name. And I click on submit. Then it says hello John. So we are transporting the data from one page to another. So I entered submit, it will get that and display. This is one state management technique. What is good, what is bad? It is faster in handling. It is safe and secured because it is automatically deleted when browser is closed. But it has several other security issues because it is exposed in URL. Anybody can see your data. Already I told you in a query string problem. What is the limit? What is the limit of query string? How many characters a query string can have? 2048. I told you maximum limit. It is not safe. It is bookmarked. It is stored in browser history. All these drawbacks we learned. If you are sending some unsafe data, it is good. Limited data, it is good. Not complex binary type data, it is good. But any complex data, this is not good. So this is the concept of a query string, how we can pass the query string and work with it. So this is an query string. Query string. So a query string is appended into URL with a key and value reference. So that means it will be question mark. So we will have key is equal to value. any form can submit its data into query string on get request, because on post it cannot submit on query string. On post where data is submitted, there is a technical word. On post where data is submitted in form body. On get, data is submitted in query string. On post, data is submitted in form body. So you can access query string. You can access query string using, you can access query string using location object, using location dot search. We have a JavaScript location object. By using that, we can access. So location search. By using location search, we can access. So that is query string. I will give a simple example for this. For this example, first point, so add a new folder, state, add files. One is home.html. In that home.html, we will have a simple form. I will copy this page. This is home.html. It is having a simple form. Another one, we will have welcome.html. This is home.html, and one more page is there. What is that page? Welcome.html. So welcome.html, this is the code. In welcome.html, we have to collect that and use it. From home, we are submitting the data, and in welcome, we are collecting and using the data. So this is an example for query string. What is the duration of query string? Until browser is open. Once browser is closed, then query string ends. But I want to save the data in such a way that next time when I open my computer, it should be available. That means just like your email ID, even you close your computer, shut down, open after few days, it should be still available. Then you can store your information in local storage. You can use local storage. So local storage, every browser have a local storage. Local storage. It is permanent storage. Permanent storage. That means it is available. So even after your device shut down, it is available. That means you have to delete manually. You have to delete manually from browser memory. So it is accessible to all tabs. It is accessible across all tabs in browser. Means in one tab you entered, in another tab it can access. Just you see Gmail people, you open one tab, in that login in gmail.com, and in another tab, open YouTube. Suddenly, YouTube also logs in into your account. Have you observed that? You are not logging in, but automatically YouTube also logs in into your Gmail account because it will see that in the previous tab you logged in. That previous tab data it can access and use in another tab. That's good. That means now in Gmail, once you log in another tab you open YouTube, in another tab you open Google Drive, everywhere you will be logged in. Why? Because it will be available across tabs, but it is not available across browser. In one browser memory, anything is stored, it is not accessible to another browser. Every browser memory is independent, right? That means once you log in your Chrome, can you access that login in Edge also? No. So because every browser memory is independent. But what is advantage of local storage is it is permanent. How to create this local storage? Let's see how to configure this local storage. See, same example. I am not using query string anymore. That means I am not writing a form action. We are not using form anymore. We are not using the form without the form, because without form, it cannot submit the data anywhere. We are just configuring this. Okay. Now you see here, you entered the details, some name, and you click on submit, nothing happening because it can submit only when it is defined inside form. But now I have to save this information in my local storage. I have to carry that in display in another page. In which page I have to display? On this welcome page I want to display. Okay. So this time, how you will do that? See, in your browser, right click, inspect. In your browser, you can go to the application category. In application category, you will find here, you will find local storage, session storage like options here. You see there is a local storage. So that means you can see there is a local storage. Every browser has a local storage. And I select the local storage of my current application because our application is running here 5500. Then you can see that here key value. That means local storage is a key value collection. Just like a map. Map and option set and get. We want object and map. Right? Map is having set and get. It's a key value collection. So see what I am doing now. When user clicks on this button, means on click, which click? Submit click. On submit click, we will write a function here, script. Function is submit click. On submit click, first we will create a local storage. What is the local storage? Local storage, how to create? Local storage dot set item. Set item, what is the key name? Key is a string, value is a string. Key name, I will give username or uname. Simply key name is uname. And what is the value? Value coming from document dot ID na? ID I say user name. Document dot what? Get element by ID. What is it? Username. It is text box dot value. That means text box value directly we are storing. You can store in a variable and later use it, or directly we can define it. Okay. After that, it should navigate from this page and it should go to welcome page. How to dynamically navigate from one page to another page? We have to use location.href. Location.search will get the query string. Location.href will set the URL. That means we discussed the difference between src and href. src is a getter and href is a setter. SRC is used for reading the path and the href is used for setting the path. Now what should be the href? It should navigate to which page? Welcome.html. That's it. You see now, I will go here. I will enter the refresh. Yeah, I will enter the name and I click on submit. When I click on submit, so it should go to that page. Some submit click function I haven't given. Okay. Yeah. So I will write here the name and I click on submit. Then it will submit. You see a key value is created now. And where the data is stored, data is present in the local storage. So that means a data is kept in the local storage, which you can access in any page. Any page you can access and use it. That means what we will do here now, any page we can access. How do we access in any page? In welcome page you want to access. Then what we do, just you have to just document dot what? Query selected paragraph dot inner HTML. We should display hello. After that, we will access here local storage dot get item and key name. Key name is what? Uname. We given uname as key na, and you can see that that name will be collected here. This time we are not transporting data using query string. We are transporting data using local storage. And see here in the previous page, I entered some name and I click on submit. Then it is going to get that and display. And it is going to rename. You can add any number of items like that. I just added one key. You can add any number of keys and values and you can access and use them. Any page can access. And see the interesting part. I will close this browser. I will close this browser. Browser is closed. Even you can shut down your machine and restart. And I will open the browser again newly. Make sure that your app is running on live. Go live is ready. And I will request welcome page, direct welcome page, and it will get that name and show. That means even I close the browser, it is still available. Let's carry in another page and see another tab. In the next tab, I will copy that welcome page and see here also it is available. That means data is available across browsers, across page tabs, across pages, and it is permanent. It will not be deleted until or unless you delete. That means you observe carefully now here. Go to the inspect, go to the category of what? Application. In application category, you see in local storage, this is there. You right click on it and select delete. You select delete. That means it is deleted now. After deleting, once refresh this page, then it is null. That means what it is returning? Null. We can try one logic. If it is returning null, see, we can try one logic here. I will write a condition here. If local storage dot get item, what is it? Uname is equal to null. Then location dot href, it should take me to home dot html. Just like login. If they signed out, it should automatically go to which page? Login page. That means else it should display. Else it should display. Now you can see that it is going to take you to home page. Observe fully, I entered some names, submit, it is there. I will refresh this page, it is still there. I will delete from here, delete from the local storage and refresh the page once. Automatically it will take to the home. That means once anybody signed out, that means his information is deleted. Then again directly it will go to the login screen and say come from there. That is the logic that we implement for local storage. So local storage The features are this. So syntactically, how you configure the local storage. So we have local storage dot set item. It uses the key and it uses a value. And how to read where value is equal to local storage dot get item and key. You have to refer the key. You can configure the local storage. I will give the example same. This is the example. And what is the example? So we have home.html. In that, this time the code is different. I will copy this code. Okay. Another one is welcome.html. Welcome.html, it is different. Okay. Now, there is another storage. Instead of local storage, we can use a session storage. Local storage problem is it is accessible in different places, then security issues will come. Suppose you are using banking applications. In one tab, you are doing anything. In another tab, it is not allowed. Automatically, after 5 minutes, 10 minutes, it will remove. In another tab, once you close browser, it is gone. That is very well secured. That is actually the concept of what? Session storage. We have session storage. Session storage. What is difference between local storage and session storage? It is temporary. Temporary storage. That means it is not accessible to other tabs. So it is removed. It is removed when browser is closed. When browser is closed. That's important. So if you are looking for temporary transactions until he finished the transaction, keep the data. Once he finished, delete. Then you have to keep in what? Session storage. Actually, if any interview they ask how much you can store in session storage or local storage, it is 10 MB. 10 MB. That is the size actually. A note is you can store 10 MB of data in local or session storage. 10 MB of data in local or session storage. As per the standards, it is. Because some browsers can be different. You know, the world's fastest browser, which is called Opera. Opera is the fastest browser because of its lot of data storage ability. That means it have more storage than other browsers, right? That changes according to the browser, but average is how much? 10 MB, right? Now, how this works? Same concept, just only one thing you have to change now. Instead of local storage, change the word to one session storage. That's it. Set item, get item, everything is same, right? Now, session storage I am using. Let's go to welcome. Here also we have to access what? Session storage. And get item from session storage. Wherever you use a local storage, use a session storage. Now let's observe the design here now. Now local storage, I will go here, enter the name and click on submit. Hello David, but it is not in local storage. It is in which location? Session storage. You see, in session storage, it is stored. In session storage, some other details may be stored. Those are related to your current browsing. All other details can be stored in the session storage. Now observe carefully now. I will copy this URL, I will open in another tab. In another tab, I will enter. And you can see in another tab, directly it goes to home now. That means he says that you have to log in. So somebody copied our URL and pasted somewhere. It will not open for him. It will automatically go to login. So that is not available to other browser. Once you close the browser, it is gone. There is no more available. That means once you close the browser, it is gone. We can do one thing. You can implement a sign out button. How to implement a sign out button? In welcome page, button here. So button called sign out. On click, what you can do, sign out click. What is the function? We can write function. What is the function? Sign out click. On sign out click, what would happen? Session must be delete, so have remove item. Remove key. What is the key? Uname. That is the key. After that, what it should do? Location dot what? Href. It should navigate to which location? Home dot html. That means you see now we have a sign out button. When user clicks the sign out button, it will navigate to home and see it is deleted. That means it is no longer available. So that is how sign out login options are maintained in our pages. That means when user enters the details and click on submit, then he is logged in. And I will refresh here, it will be there. I will refresh here, it will be there until he removes, anybody deletes here. I refresh here now. Without sign out, I deleted. When I refresh here, and it will go to home now. It will not stay on that because that information is deleted. This is called as what? Session storage. What is difference between local and session storage? So syntax is like this. So this is what? Session storage dot set item. And we have a key and we have a value. We have a var reference is equal to session storage dot what? Get item, and we have to refer to the key. Refer to the key. We also have session storage dot remove item, and we have to define the key. You can remove it. But generally, emails and all these people, they don't use session storage and local storage for login credentials. What they do is they use another concept called cookies. They use a concept called cookies. What is the specialty of cookies? Cookie can stay for some days. That means you can tell that after 5 days you delete. You can say that after 4 days you delete. I don't know from how many years you are using emails. If you are using emails 8-10 years back, do you know Google people email in login screen, they show a message, user ID, password, keep me signed in. A checkbox will come. Keep me signed in for 2 days. In the beginning days, they given keep me signed in for 2 days. Keep me signed in for 1 week, like that. Now they removed it because they are permanently signing in. They're permanently keeping until they delete. Earlier it was not like that. They were giving only for 2 days. After 2 days, what will happen? That cookie will be deleted. Cookie is nothing but cookie is a simple text file. In the text file, user details can be stored and we can access and use. We can access and use from the cookies, right? But important point is to deal with the cookies. One dangerous thing is cookies are virus carriers. You heard that on internet, when you open any website, some virus will come. Have you heard? Some people will tell you that don't open that website, virus will come. Opening a website, virus will not come. You open a website, that website try to send one file to you. That file is called cookie. If you allow that file, that cookie file is infected with virus. The only virus carrier on internet is cookie. It is dangerous. That is the reason, from according to the modern cyber laws, every website have to ask you to send cookie or not. Right? But earlier it was not like that. They used to send cookie internally. Now you see, from past 1-2 years, from past 1-2 years, every website is asking, allow cookies. Am I right? Earlier they don't used to ask because they directly send cookies. But now, because it is very dangerous for applications, that they made a standardization that every website should ask the user to allow cookies. When he allow cookies, every browser is managing it. If we allow cookies, then the file will be saved. And if it is infected with virus, you may get virus. Cookies are virus carriers, very dangerous. That's the reason you may disable cookies if you want. Right? I will show here. The point here, example for this storage is home.html, same code. This is home.html. And we have another one. Which one? Welcome.html. This is same. Okay. Now another option is here, cookie. So we have cookies. Cookies are simple text documents. Client related information can be stored in a cookie file and used later by page. So cookies need to be enabled in browser. Enabled in browser. You can verify cookie status by using navigator.cookie enabled. By using navigator.cookie enabled, you can verify. It returns true if enabled with cookie. If your browser is enabled with cookies, it will return true. If it is not enabled, then it will return false. And every website in the world for login, they use cookies only. Every website, they have to use this cookies concept. Not other storages. They have to use only cookies, not other type of storage. Because other type storage have problem. One is permanent, another one is only in one tab. But cookies, it will be permanent and it will be temporary, both. So if you don't give expiry date, then it will be temporary. If you give expiry date, it will be permanent. That means now cookie can be in memory. In memory means temporary or permanent. Persistent. Persistent means permanent. Cookie can be in memory, temporary or persistent. That means it has both behaviors. Unlike local storage and session storage, local storage is always permanent, session storage is always temporary. But this can change according to situation. That is the reason one of the major is cookies. You observe here, suppose I am using some Chrome browser. In the Chrome browser, I am using Chrome settings. In Chrome settings, I am searching for cookies. And in the cookies concept, I blocked all the cookies. Third party cookies. I blocked all cookies. Means in my browser, I am not allowing cookies. Okay. After doing that, let's open Gmail. In Gmail, try to open here. You see I'm trying to open Gmail and it is saying JavaScript is turned off. How to verify JavaScript is on or not? We learned is a tag script. No script verify whether JavaScript is or not. If you write no script, that means generally how to verify using no script. I will allow JavaScript. Okay. After allowing JavaScript, I will try to enter the name, details and all. Gmail. And here I will enter the user ID and click on next. And immediately it shows cookies are disabled. Now, if you ask what is alternative, there is no alternative. If you want to log in, cookie must be enabled. If cookies are disabled, there is no chance of login. You have to just use a browser where cookies are enabled. There is no other way. Right? Now, how they know cookies enabled or disabled? Actually, in JavaScript, we can write a code. What is the code is? See, in home page or in any page, demo.html. Here, I am just writing a script, just document.write navigator.cookie enabled. This navigator.cookie enabled will return true. I will run this page. You see, when I run this page, it is saying true. That means cookie is enabled in current browser. Let's copy that page and open in Chrome browser where cookies are disabled. Then here it should return false. That means I am accessing that page and you see JavaScript is not allowed. Okay. And it is saying false. In one browser, it is true. In another browser, it is false because here we disable cookies. Suppose if you enable cookies, allow cookies, after that you refresh this, then it should say true. Means we need to enable the script also. And we find one. What is it? JavaScript. Actually, in this browser, JavaScript also disabled. So JavaScript also allowed. So don't allow to run. And once you allow, should that message here, let's open that it should display is for this particular. So for particular websites, it may be blocked. That means blocked third-party cookies. It may be blocked for some pages. No sites are added. Okay. And it is true. Let's open the settings. What is the setting? This is Edge settings. We will change the Edge settings. Which one? Cookies. Cookies settings. Where is it? Yeah. In the cookies settings. Okay. This is cookies are allowed. Yeah. And where is it? Cookies related. Browsing history. This is all the browsing history. Somewhere this is. Yeah. I will refresh it. Cookies are not blocked here. Tables. Here allow cookies. We are disabling. So you refresh that, then it will return false. You enable it, and it should return what it will change. Cookies enabled or disabled. You have to your browser settings. How do we know that? So that we can know by using an property. What is it? Navigator.cookie enabled. Now, how to create the cookies? Same concept. See here now. This time, To create cookies, we don't use session storage. To create cookies, we have to use document dot cookies is equal to cookie name. Cookie name is some uname. Uname is cookie name and is equal to what is the value. Value is coming from document dot get element by id. What is it? Username dot what? Value. This is how we have to create a cookie. Now observe carefully. It will go to welcome page. In welcome page, I will delete this code on body load because we are not using session storage now. And you observe in the browser home and usually inspect the application. And what is the application we are having? Yeah, in application. Where is it? Application. In this, you have to go to cookies category. You see there is a cookies category. And in that cookies from this page, there are empty. Now I will enter the username and click on submit. Cookie is created. This time it is not local storage. This is cookie. How to access the cookie and display? Same approach we have to use. In welcome, what we have to do? Document dot what? Query select paragraph dot what? Inner HTML, and we have to just use document dot what cookie. Cookie. It is going to get the cookie and display. Showing all the value. You know how to pick up only from equal. Right? That means what we have to do, we have to use an substring and document dot cookie, right? Document dot cookie dot what? Index of what? 0 plus 1. It will get only that name and display. How to access? We already learned string function. So that is the concept of cookies. Now, is cookie accessible in another tab? I am accessing in another tab and enter. It is accessible. Is cookie available even you close the browser? That means I will close the browser. I will close the browser and you open that page again and you see cookie is not there. Because cookie is currently temporary. How to make it permanent? Simple. To make it permanent, then what you do is, after mentioning the cookie name and cookie value, here we have to use a semicolon. Expires. Expires is equal to, you have to mention when to expire. So you have to mention date format. Weekday. That means we have to mention, like suppose some Thursday, and it should mention about what is the point. Suppose it is like which date it is, some so it is having a date picker. What is it? So Thursday, yeah. So we say Thursday 7. And here we have to mention month. Month is what? August. So how much? 2023. We have to mention time. That means 10. So 50, like that. 1050:00. So this is the expire. Expires on this particular date. You have to mention the date. September, yeah, September, right? That is how you have to define. So date and time, whatever the value is there, you need to configure. That means now this file will stay up to that date time. After that date time, it will delete. You can remove just current date and time you give and keep here, suppose 10:50 to 55. Then it is created in 10:50, 10:55 it is deleted. You see some websites, they say that 5 minutes only allowed for your transaction. After 5 minutes, they will delete. Right? So actually default session always times out automatically after 20 minutes. 20 minutes is the default session timeout, right? So that depends on the website how they provide. So what is the syntax here? You need to create, so document dot what, cookie is equal to some key is equal to value semicolon expires is equal to, so here date and time. You have to mention like this. How to access reference is equal to document dot what, cookie. If anybody asks how to delete cookie, that means we just use document dot cookie and is equal to key without any value you mention, then it will delete the cookie. This will delete cookie. If key is not mentioned with any value, then automatically it is deleted. That means key and value is not defined. So that means it will delete that cookie. You can just define the expiry and you have to configure the date and time. So this is example again. Home dot what, HTML. This is home HTML. And we have welcome dot HTML. And this is welcome HTML. This is the page that you are having. So these are all the state management techniques you have client side. What are those? We have cookies, we have local storage, we have session storage, and we have query string. We can handle by using this, right? These are all the important concepts. So with this, we complete all the topics in JavaScript, right? So see, whatever topics are designed for your course, we delivered it, right? That means because for Java and .NET people, for JavaScript, they mentioned about certain basic topic, what topics are required. What topics are required for the Java. For these batches, we are doing only those concepts. And we all those concepts. And it's our JavaScript point. And others, generally other best usually UI for all those JavaScript and there only points, only point is we discuss a lot of examples on every topic. We haven't missed anything. All topics what you need for advanced level, everything you learn. Only the point is for every topic more examples I will upload into class. Some more topics I will upload into class. You have to practice them. Okay, right? With this we complete all our course related concepts, right? Then we will discuss about jQuery or any other things. We will conduct one workshop like concept. That means for if you are interested, we can conduct one workshop, and in that workshop we will have discussion about jQuery, Ajax, like basic concepts that will help you in future when you are dealing with other technologies. Those we will plan according to availability of time, and I will let you know in the classroom. Okay, right? Then thank you very much for all this, right? And we learned everything. Some people are still not aware of this because